I'm here because I am a roaring lion crying out righteousness. Thurgood Marshall, he appeared before the Supreme Court in 1954, was it? And he argued Brown versus the Board of Education, right? And he won. Later on, he became a Supreme Court justice himself. And I think he was the first one. They got this boy Clarence Thomas. I think George Bush Sr. put that boy Clarence Thomas on it. Clarence Thomas was a snake from the very beginning of time. Talking about high-tech, this is a high-tech luncheon. Anyway, this boy is the biggest thief, crook, hustler, hypocrite, and he's on the Supreme Court. There's nothing you can do about it. I think they're going to try to do something about it. There's this other guy, Samuel Alito. These boys are living high on the hog. That's right.
Two Senate Democrats plan to target corruption and rot on the nation's highest court. Next week, the Senate Judiciary Committee will vote on issuing subpoenas to the powerful benefactors of Justice Clarence Thomas, including billionaire megadonor Harlan Crow. The move follows bombshell reporting from ProPublica detailing various lavish gifts and luxury vacations that Thomas received from Crow.
Grinning like a Cheshire cat.
There's also recent reporting that Justice Thomas's luxury RV was bought with a loan from another wealthy friend. NBC News has not independently confirmed that report. A Senate review then found that this loan for over $250,000 wasn't paid back, but rather was forgiven. And it was not reported on disclosure forms. The Senate also wants to subpoena another Republican donor, Robin Arkley II, and conservative activist Leonard Leo. Crow, Arkley, and Leo have either refused to comply with the committee's investigation or have offered limited information. Joining me to break all of this down is Leah Lippman, the University of Michigan's Law School, and my co-host on the Strict Scrutiny podcast. Leah, what is the importance of the subpoenas that may be coming next week from the Senate Judiciary Committee?
Well, Senate Democrats seem finally willing and able to step up and do some actual oversight and enforcement. You know, we learned from Senator Wyden's inquiry that, in fact, the loan to Justice Thomas for his RV was potentially not a loan at all, but just a gift, and that it was basically completely forgiven. And now, having seen that actually you can learn some meaningful things that are important to the public and democracy from oversight, Senate Democrats on the Judiciary Committee have decided, well, we're going to do some oversight too, given that no individuals have been willing to actually comply with their requests for information thus far.
So what's the most important?
I think the RV is going to show up. Maybe will, maybe will not. Clarence Thomas driving it. $267,000 for this box. It's 40 feet long, by the way. 2 bathrooms and a shower on this RV that cost $267,000. Somebody gave him the money. This person named the person that gave him the money as a loan. He never paid it back. He never intended to pay it back. It was never intended to be paid back. The problem is that what now is being exposed, which probably wasn't necessary before Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito, is that there are some people in America that are above the law. Not a whole lot of people that think they're above the law, like Tribulation Trump. He doesn't think he's above the law. That guy doesn't respect the law. But the Supreme Court really is, if you're sitting on the Supreme Court, you're a jurist on the Supreme Court, that's the highest law of the land, and you're the one that presides over it. So you're in a real sense, the Supreme Court justice is above the law. This boy, Clarence Thomas, has taken more money than a prosperity preacher. This boy, Clarence Thomas. I'm some of the prosperity preachers looking at Clarence Thomas got it going on. Riding around in a 100-foot yacht. This other boy, Samuel Alito, was riding around in a yacht called a Happy Hooker. I'm making this up. The yacht he was going on vacation was called a Happy Hooker. And Harlan Crow's private jet that Clarence Thomas was riding around in, it probably makes the prosperity. Look at that. Look how long that thing is. That thing is bigger than most people's house. You couldn't get that thing in a trailer cab. Look at it. And Clarence Thomas sitting there driving the thing, 40 feet long, nearly $300,000. Somebody gave it to him, right? And he doesn't use it that often because mainly he's flying around in a private jet. But go ahead, Miss India. Let's listen to the rest of this.
Information that senators could get as a result of these subpoenas, and how might it be used to shape reforms at the high court?
I mean, thus far, we only kind of know about the gifts and exchanges to these justices from the reporting that ProPublica and other outlets have done. But we don't know the extent of gifts or exchanges or presents that have been bestowed on these justices from all of these donors or individuals. I mean, Leonard Leo has arranged the trips from the justices, on private jets to various places around the country and has set them up with different billionaire benefactors. Well, we don't really know the extent of the relationship between Leo and these individuals and the justices. I mean, we know these individuals have given Leo's organizations a ton of money, and we know that Leo has set them up with justices, but we really don't know the full scope of all the details, that might be going into these relationships.
And we might even find out some information about the relationships between not only the justices and some of these other individuals, but the justices' spouses. I mean, there has been reporting about Leonard Leo perhaps funneling money to Ginny Thomas's organization. Is there more that could come out about that?
I mean, absolutely. We only know from the Washington Post, I believe, that Leonard Leo directed a company to, quote, give Ginny Thomas thousands of dollars in money with, quote, no mention of Ginny, of course. And because he's apparently not mentioning her in all of these, monetary transactions, we don't know the extent of them. We know his organizations have worked with Ginny Thomas, presumably paying her for, gosh, who knows what. So that's some of the information that we could learn. And we don't know whether the justices' spouses have also received any of these gifts or trips. So that's some other potential information we could learn.
Well, yesterday, Leah, Senate Republicans flew to the defense of these individuals. Let's take a listen.
You all ought to be ashamed of yourself, because you're the ones who always profess how you're defending our democracy. You're the ones undermining our democracy.
The highest court in the land cannot have the lowest standard of ethics in the government.
This is a fight you want. You're going to get it.
Can the Senate Republicans hinder this probe and keep more of this information from coming out?
There's always some possibility that they're...
Somebody asked me, they're the Republicans. What's the difference between the Republicans and the Democrats? I told you a few moments ago why people follow Trump, because they want him to protect them from the crazy Democrats, from crazy Black Lives Matter, crazy LGBTQ. And these people are crazy. I mean, this is not just something I make that I'm telling you they crazy. No, you're a Democrat, you're a liberal, you crazy. No, that's just how it is. That's not hyperbole. But the Republicans, the thing about Republicans, they poor as Job's turkey, many of them, but they always talking about tax cuts for the rich. 26 billionaires, right? Billionaires, and most of them right here in America, got more money than half of the people on the entire planet. So when you see a Republican, you see somebody who's crazy too, because they ain't got no money, but the politicians like Lindsey Graham and this other boy right there were talking about protecting the rich people who were giving all this wealth to Clarence Thomas, is that they're always giving tax cuts to the rich people. So the rich people pay less taxes than a man who's a billionaire pays less taxes than his secretary, who only makes less than $42,000 a year. Somebody said to me the other day, he said, are you a Republican? I said, no, I ain't rich enough. As remember, Democrats said, no, I ain't crazy enough. So the Republicans are always for rich people, even if they ain't got no money themselves. Some of them poor as Job's turkey. And okay, all right, but go ahead, Ms. Singer. I hope this ends soon. Otherwise, I'm out to can it.
Are going to go to bat for their big donors. Some of Leonard Leo's organizations have given a ton of money to the Republicans, Attorney General Association, as well as other organizations. And if these individuals don't comply with the subpoenas, the full Senate would have to vote on their enforcement to actually subject these individuals to, actual citations or penalties. So they could possibly try to obstruct this by resorting to the filibuster to prevent the Democrats from getting to 60 votes to actually enforce subpoenas. But I would think that they would frankly be ashamed of themselves from trying to insulate, conduct that includes taking a Supreme Court justice on a boat that is called the Happy Hooker and giving him a glacier martini, and then discussing, whether Republicans should abolish the filibuster to engage in more judicial nominations. And that's one of the things that ProPublica has reported that Robin Arkley was doing with Justice Scalia. And these are the kinds of things that, I think the public needs to know.
These boys have no shame. No shame whatsoever. I'm telling you. And that's the world we're living in.